Good morning, everybody. I hope you had a great evening. A little cool here in Wichita, but seasonal. The warm fronts are drifting back to the north. That sets up the next round of moisture if we get a cold front from the out of the north, which is new ones come through our area about once a week. So we're hopeful for new moisture, and we're grateful for what we got on this last go around. The crops need it. So here we are. It is the 5-year auction. That if there was going to be a soft auction, one that didn't have firm prices, it would be this one. Yesterday's 2-year auction was the best auction they've had since I think December of 2013. So we got basically resistance at the buck to 04, and then it really, again, it's at 8 to 12. And from support, we got 24 to 20, and then our best support comes down where we have all this volume in this 17 area, 15, 14. So our best support remains 12 to 16, but it may lie at 24. So on the idea that we got a B pattern here, we might come a little lower. I'm going to put 17 to 21 as buy one, and then 9 to 13 is buy two. Again, it may take 25s to get in. It's just hard to say. The overnight session low is at 25. We know there's stops below 23. Yesterday's auction started at 21.5, so this 21 to 25 might be where we have to execute and get in. Like to buy it on the cheap. I think with the overnight session and the history of auctions that we got a chance to buy it on the cheap. So that's how we're going to start out today. The desired sell would be 31 to 03, and then 7 to 11 for sell 2. But this high volume number is at 27, so we can live with a 26.5 or better. Would definitely like to get it done, so maybe the 27 to 31 is where we have to execute off the opening. But I think we got a chance to do it a little better because volume is moving higher. So we'll get started with 31 to 03 and 7 to 11, 17 to 21 on the buy side, and 9 to 13, knowing full well that we may have to move them higher. Okay, we do have news this morning. GDP. Second revision, 3.3. Deflator, 1.3. Case-Shiller, plus 4.7. Appreciation in the real estate, residential, in the 20 major metropolitan areas. FHFA, plus 0.4, which is kind of the default number. That's what you'd expect. And that would be in line with Case-Shiller also. Consumer confidence, 96.5. And Richmond Fed at 16. So we've got the direction of the E-mini, which is holding in pretty well. GDP will be the first thing up. That'll be the first thing the market looks at. Don't think they'd pay much attention to Case-Shiller or FHFA. Second, probably the biggest number out today is consumer confidence. So the E-mini's reaction this morning to consumer confidence and GDP, I think, will be the early determinants of the direction of the market. So I'd you know, given what we've had in these markets is that we get a first move, and then we're lucky to get 330 seconds of movement. We really haven't had a heck of a lot to work with. Yesterday's E-mini, we were dealing with less than 5 points for a couple hours before it got out of its range. So the volatility is pretty quiet. I've got the feel of a holiday week, if you know what I mean. No, Charles, I don't know what you mean. Please tell me more. I love talking to myself, as you can tell. I hear that can be a problem over time. Okay, resistance 15 to 19, sell 1, that's where it is. The knob spread is expanding, then 23 to 27. So it's 23 to 27 is really where we'd like to operate. On the buy side, Globex's low is 3. So we'll make 1 to 5, buy 1, and buy 2, 25 to 29. We haven't had a lot of trouble getting to our second levels, given the volatility on this contract. So a little bit of patience probably will pay off today. One of the things that you'll find in holiday trading, or especially in these markets where we're losing a lot of volatility, is that you got to catch the early move, and then you got to stick with it. It takes a long time for the trades to develop and the trading targets to be realized. It takes patience. And that's probably the toughest thing a trader has to learn is patience. And you can do that by extending the time frame. You can go 15-minute chart as opposed to 3-minute. Our 3-minute chart is really for execution. So the direction comes from F1. The levels come from F2. Executions on F3 or 4. And then we monitor the auction process on either F5 for numeric or F6 for the visual. Okay, gold, we left yesterday wanting to sell 1200, 1202. That looks reasonable. That's resistance. And then 5 to 7 for us too. I don't see any reason to change that. We've had pretty quiet sessions. We were hoping to buy 90, 92. So we'll make 95, 93 buy 1. They haven't let us in at our price. And then 90 plus or minus 1 for buy 2. Overnight, things pretty quiet. Nothing out there to get the gold players excited. No central bank intervention. China yuan articles out on have they re-entered, created a price war for the yuan. They took it down officially, state intervention overnight by 0.29%, or 0.29%, not 0.29%. So China traditionally has kept their currency low so they could control and dominate the export market as best they could. Give you a reason to buy it. Okay, we had a 45.55 sell, I believe, last night. Let me double check that. No, it was 50 to 60. Overnight sessions high was 47. Last rotate up stopped at 39, so we'll make 40 to 50, sell 1. And then 60 to 70 come in under 75 for sell 2. Again, I'm not really big on the buy side for this currency. But 10 to 20 is support, so that is buy 1. And then buy 2 will be 24, 23.90 to 24, letting him get stops beneath the buck. The euro is headed lower. The financial ministers and the ECB want that so they can export to more people outside of the European Union. Now, one of the things that you all will notice about our take on the news, and you know, if you see the headlines, you can pretty well trade the news these days. for a longer-term player, you have to really go into depth and really analyze that. But for short-term trading, it's the headlines that drive our trading. So there's long-term structural secular issues that are confronting the market, and there are just the headlines. In fact, I'm getting so bad on headlines that, I mean, it's difficult at times to sit down and take the time to read the news article, you know, as you flip through the news trying to see it. But the economic news weakened again over last night. The OECD lowered their economic growth forecasts for the world, and stocks traded up off of that or held their gains. And the reason is that low interest rates are here to stay. Everybody's on the same page. And QE, quantitative easing programs, throwing more money at the market, are on tap too, if needed. So everybody is assuming that quantitative easing is just around the corner for all major economies around the world. Okay, the biggest thing that's going to happen this week is OPEC's going to make the price announcement. And everybody thinks that there are going to be cuts. They don't know how big they're going to be to their official production quotas. Obviously, making them stick is another matter, but it doesn't matter on a headline basis. People are going to see what the cuts are, and they are expecting cuts out of OPEC on official quotas. A significant cut could rally the market back over 80. A small or minor cut where nothing really changes probably it will take us higher, but we probably won't break out above 80. So down to what OPEC does at their meeting this week. I think most of the OPEC members would like to see something on paper alluding at least or hinting that production quotas will be lowered. So into the announcement, this market's bias is probably sideways to higher. And the market can send a message to OPEC: if you don't cut prices, production quotas, thereby supporting prices, the bottom can fall out of this market. I even saw an article last night on $30 oil. If that's the case, and I've been through 2 busts in the oil patch, and it's absolutely devastating. The old line conservative companies that haven't borrowed, that haven't tried to grow quickly, that have added to reserves, are left. When it's all over, they pick up the acreage. That happens about every 15 to 20 years. They pick up acreage cheaply, stuff that they want if they are able to buy production, for getting other people out of debt, and it works pretty well to clean the slate. But the people that were there building quickly through borrowing, they're gone. And that's how the private enterprise cleans itself, periodically purges itself. Government doesn't. If something doesn't work, they want more people and they want more money. They tried, but it just wasn't enough. Give us more. And there is no purging in governments. Back in the old days, before the 20th century, your capitals would be overrun on a regular basis, and the bureaucrats would at least have to pack up and leave. The last time our capital was invaded was 1812. The last time our bureaucracy was threatened was the Civil War. And I'm not saying they've had exponential growth, but it approaches it. Okay, the E-mini, it's strong, it's pointing higher. It doesn't really matter what happens. Weak economic news, quantitative easing. Strong economic news, earnings per share growth, buy stocks. We have London's low right here at 65. So our first buy zone, and they make us pay up early. We have to, on the opening, to get off a long. That has not changed. So 65, 67 is buy one. Again, the easiest trade to see is selling failure to take out this 73, 75 area. And at that point, you know, if we get through that, I guess we're going to be looking at the 2083.50. So a sell 2 will be 79 to 81. Basically, failure to take out 75 should lead to a retest of support. If we have a no range day, we'll be lucky to get down to 65. If we have a normal range day, 60. 62 is where support is. News. GDP, it's old news. But if it comes in greater than 3.3, that's a pretty generous number. Can rally us further. Deflator, no one pays any attention to, because the Fed is not raising interest rates to fight inflation. Case-Shiller, plus 4.7 in our 20 largest metropolitan areas. FHFA, plus 0.4, that compares to 4.7. Consumer confidence is the big one, 96.5. If it comes in at 96.5, that would be supportive. Then Richmond Fed at 16. If it beats that number, that would be supportive, but no one will pay a lot of attention to it. Number 1, number 2, and the rest will be filler. Okay, it'll take about 20 minutes to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. I will be back with you as soon as I can. We do have news on a half hour. Old news probably won't have much impact. No impact if it's on the estimate. And I'll be back with you as soon as possible. Later.